It's midnight and you're watching Nightline with me, Lena Hassanal. The top stories. Senior Minister's former political secretary remanded over 18 million ringgit project approval. And three-cornered fight in Palangi by-election. Good morning. Two individuals, including a former political secretary, have been remanded for allegedly accepting bribes in return for approving an 18 million ringgit book printing project involving a ministry through direct negotiation. It was reported that the former political secretary in his 20s and the second suspect, who is a company owner in his late 50s, were detained on Friday at about 11 p.m. at the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC headquarters in Putrajaya. Both suspects are believed to have colluded with the former senior minister in asking for and receiving bribes through the second suspect's company from contractors in return for approving the book printing project. Putrajaya Magistrates Court Registrar Nur Adila Khalid has allowed the duo to be remanded for 4 days starting Saturday until September 26th after the MACC applied for the remand. MACC Deputy Chief Commissioner for Operations, Datuk Sri Ahmad Kusairi Yahya, confirmed the arrest and said the case is being investigated under the MACC Act. Meanwhile, former Education Minister Datuk Radzi has confirmed the arrest of his former political secretary by the MACC in connection with the corruption probe. He, however, denied any involvement in the JCAF book printing project and has refuted allegations of approving direct negotiations for the 18 million ringgit project. Radzi also said he had never asked or accepted any bribe or kickback from anyone. He also did not rule out the possibility of taking legal action against those republishing the accusations linking him to corrupt practices. Malaysia has emphasized the importance for ASEAN to uphold its outstanding relationship with the United States and China as strategic competition between the two economic superpowers intensifies. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim stressed it is vital for ASEAN to maintain such a relationship with both countries and focus on centrality, a core principle of ASEAN.
The point that
the Prime Minister said this during an exclusive interview with CNN's chief international anchor, Christiane Amanpour, in New York.
China is an important neighbor, important trading nation, and close to us. United States have been traditionally a long-time friend who more responsible from the beginning to invest and help and assist develop the country. So how do we then navigate?
During the interview, Anwar also said he shares a cordial relationship with Chinese Premier Li Qiang and its Foreign Minister Wang Yi. He added that Malaysia is ready to negotiate contentious issues arising from China's claim. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has rejected allegations that the Sedition Act has been used as a means to silence the opposition. He said politicians in Malaysia are given the freedom to criticize any party, including him, but some limits need to be respected, especially when it involves the need to protect the royal institution.
That part of a form of like a lay majesty in a form has been there, is in the law. You see, any criticism against the Prime Minister of the government, I don't charge them for sedition. I've been abused on a daily basis. None have been charged. But you touch the rulers, the sultans. We have the law.
It's like Thailand, right? Les Majesty.
Not as serious, but then the law is there.
The Prime Minister was asked to comment on the two charges under the Sedition Act against Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Muhammad Sanusi Mat Noor. Sanusi was charged over 2 counts of uttering seditious remarks that could incite disloyalty towards the rulers, which were allegedly uttered during a political rally. Anwar further stressed that the charges were preferred by the Attorney General's chambers as there is a need to protect the integrity of the royal institution.
The system of the royalty has its paraphernalia. There is, I think, the need to protect the institution. That's what the people have decided from independence. That's the system we inherit. So when a person is deemed to be abusive of the rulers and the charge to be preferred by the General. I mean, that's the law. Until we are able to amend that law, the law persists.
The Palangi state by-election on October 7th will see a three-cornered battle between candidates from Barisan Nasional (BN), Perikatan Nasional (PN) and an independent candidate. They are Bentong UMNO Division Committee member Datuk Amizar Abu Adam from BN, Bentong PAS Deputy President Kasim Samad from PN and Hasli Helmi DM Zul Hasli, the independent candidate using the car symbol. Amizar arrived at the nomination centre accompanied by supporters and BN Chairman Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, Pahang UMNO Liaison Committee Chairman Datuk Sri Wan Rosdi Wan Ismail, Amanah President Datuk Sri Muhammad Sabu and MCA President Datuk Sri Wee Kasyong. Kasim, who had contested in the state seat before, was accompanied by past leaders, including Deputy President Datuk Sri Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man. The lineup was announced by Palangi by-election returning officer Datuk Muhammad Shahid Ismail at 10:16 a.m. at the nomination centre at Felda Kemasul Community Hall. Shahid announced that Amizar, aged 50, who was accompanied by a proposer and seconder, submitted his nomination papers at 9:01 a.m., followed by Kasim, aged 63, 1 minute later, and Hasli Helmi, aged 36, at 9:08 a.m. The Election Commission has fixed a 14-day campaign period starting Saturday until 11:59 p.m. on October 6th, with early voting on October 3rd. A total of 16,456 voters will be eligible to cast their ballots in the by-election, including 36 police personnel and 3 overseas postal voters. The Palangi by-election is the first by-election in Pahang after the 15th general election was held following the death of its incumbent, Datuk Sri Johari Harun, aged 53, in an air crash in Shah Alam on August 17th. In GE15, Johari, who represented BN, won with a 4,048 vote majority. And following the nomination process on Saturday morning, BN candidate Datuk Amizar Abu Adam embarked on the campaign trail. First on the agenda was a visit to Felda Chemomoy, which is also his place of birth, where he spent time talking and mingling with the locals, particularly the youth. Amizar said aspects of development and the welfare and needs of the younger generation will be among his focus for the election, and many of the development programs, activities and opportunities which will be provided is to empower youth in the constituency. Amizar holds a master's degree in Management and Strategic Leadership from University Science Malaysia, USM, and a bachelor's degree in Business Management from University Technology Malaysia, UTM.
Saya mengucapkan banyak terima kasih di atas kepimpinan Barisan Nasional memberikan kepercayaan kepada saya untuk meneruskan legasi atau meneruskan ataupun mempertahankan kemenangan Don Pelangi ini di tangan Barisan Nasional. Terima kasih banyak juga kepada seluruh warga-warga Don Pelangi dan insyaAllah kita jalankan amanah.
Amizar also vowed to continue with the development plans and agenda of the late incumbent Datuk Sri Johari Harun, who won the Palangi state seat in the last general election. Meanwhile, PN candidate Kasim Samad will be getting a second shot at the seat, having contested for it in the last general election.
Saya terbuka, yang ini usaha masing-masing lah. Yang ini dah pertarungan yang lain.
In the meantime, UMNO President Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has confirmed that independent candidate Hasli Helmi DM Zul Hasli has been stripped of his UMNO membership with immediate effect.
Walaupun beliau menjadi calon bebas, secara automatik mulai hari ini keahlian beliau gugur sebagai ahli UMNO.
Hasli Helmi had previously been a member of the Bentong UMNO division. Meanwhile, Zahid reminded BN members not to take the Palangi by-election lightly and be too overconfident based on the 15th general election results.
Jangan pernah ambil mudah. Di atas kertas, dulu Datuk Seri Johari mendapat majoriti 4,000 lebih. Kemudian calon PH ketika itu dapat 2,000 lebih. Di atas kertas jumlahnya memang melebihi 6,000, tetapi jangan pernah selalu yakin.
Therefore, he urged that the entire BN and PH machinery be mobilized in order to ensure that the party's message is effectively delivered to the more than 16,000 voters in Palangi. Police have reminded all parties to not touch on race, religion and royalty, or 3R issues throughout the Palangi by-election campaigning period. Pahang Police Chief Datuk Yahya Othman said those contesting in the by-election need to apply for police permits should they want to conduct political talks for safety purposes and to refrain from destroying their rivals' campaign materials.
Saya juga menasihatkan pada semua penyokong-penyokong supaya dapat mematuhi ataupun memelihara demokrasi ataupun mengelakkan daripada perkara-perkara yang melibatkan ketenteraman awam seperti dalam ucapan-ucapan yang diberikan supaya tidak ada perkara-perkara yang lebih menghasut dan boleh menyebabkan ketenteraman awam terjejas.
Yahya said this to the media after the opening of the Sultan Abdullah Bridge in Kampung Seberang Guai in Pahang on Saturday. He also advised contesting parties to not hang up posters, flags or campaign materials at junctions as it could affect motorists' view. Earlier, he said the nomination process went well without any unwanted incidents happening. Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah officially launched the Kampung Seberang Guai Bridge in Pahang on Saturday. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong also consented to the 770-metre bridge, built at a cost of 98.5 million ringgit, spanning the Sungai Pahang, be named the Sultan Abdullah Bridge.
Bila kita sebut jambatan, ia sedikit sebanyak adalah untuk kita memanjangkan semangat ukhuwah kita, penduduk di seberang sini dengan penduduk di seberang sana, seberang Guai. Dengan ada jambatan ini, kita harap interaksi bersama orang kampung kita di sini akan mencerminkan lebih harmoni dan boleh jadi contoh pada daerah-daerah lain.
Sultan Abdullah said this at the launch of the Kampung Seberang Guai Bridge ceremony. Also present was the Regent of Pahang, Tengku Hassanal Ibrahim Alam Shah, along with Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, who is also Rural and Regional Development Minister. Also in attendance were Deputy Works Minister Datuk Sri Abdul Rahman Muhammad, Pahang Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Wan Rosdi Wan Ismail, and former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, who is also the Borough Member of Parliament. Sultan Abdullah also urged that the construction of the new bridge in Timurloh, which is underway, be completed soon to overcome the high volume of traffic on the present Sultan Ahmad Shah Bridge. At least 6 killed in Taiwan factory blast. News from the Foreign Front when we return. foreign front. A search operation was underway on Saturday morning for 3 missing people after a fire at a factory in southern Taiwan killed at least 6. According to authorities, the 5 victims include 3 firefighters, a male worker and a female worker. More than 100 people were injured when the accident occurred at the plant of golf ball manufacturer Launch Technologies Co., located in Pingtung County. The blast caused a section of the factory building to collapse, trapping several individuals beneath the rubble. Search and rescue operations continued throughout the night and into the early hours of Saturday, with reports of the death toll expected to increase. The cause of the fire and subsequent explosion remained under investigation. An Israeli drone hit outposts in the Gaza Strip on Friday as violent protests persisted along the separation fence. The regime said the drone strikes targeted 2 posts belonging to the Hamas group, while a tank hit another post from which shots were fired on troops confronting protesters. According to the Health Ministry, at least 31 Palestinians had been wounded in the attack. Palestinians in Gaza have been holding protests along the separation fence for days, with youths having to defend themselves after Israeli troops responded to the protests with live fire. In a separate incident in the West Bank, Israeli forces shot dead a Palestinian fighter while conducting a raid in the village of Kafr Dan, marking the 7th person to be killed this week. Thailand's opposition Move Forward Party, MFP, has named a new leader on Saturday after Pita Limjaroenrat, who led the party to a stunning election victory in May, was thwarted in its efforts to become premier. The party said former political magazine editor Chaitawat Tulaton will now head MFP. Tulaton said this was a temporary restructure, as Limjaroenrat cannot perform the duty of opposition leader and be an MP in parliament at the moment due to legal reasons. In the meantime, Limjaroenrat will take on a chief advisor role for the party and vowed to travel the nation and meet with international stakeholders until he can resume in parliament. Limjaroenrat was suspended in July while waiting for the Constitutional Court's ruling over his alleged ownership of shares in a now-defunct media company. In a surprise move, South Korea's opposition-controlled National Assembly voted to strip the leader of the opposition of his parliamentary immunity, potentially allowing his arrest over corruption allegations. Leader of the Democratic Party, Lee Jae-myung, has been accused by prosecutors of bribery in connection with a firm that is suspected of illicitly transferring $8 million to North Korea. He is also accused of breaching his duties, which allegedly resulted in a loss of $15 million for a company owned by Songnam City during his term as its mayor. Despite his party's majority in the 300-member parliament, the motion to lift Lee's immunity passed by a 149 to 136 vote, with at least 29 members of Lee's party voting to strip his immunity. South Korea's Justice Minister Han Dong-hoon described Lee as a serious criminal suspect and accused him of colluding with people with gangster backgrounds. Lee has denied all the allegations against him. Iman takes charge of polka dot jersey. Action from the LTDL after this breather. sports, cycling, the 2023 Tour de Langkawi. Tudor Pro Cycling team sprinter Arvid Decline lived up to expectations as he ramped up to a well-deserved win in the opening stage from Kerteh to Kuala Terengganu on Saturday. Despite losing his lead-out man in the closing stages of the race, Decline still had the pace to outkick the field and take the win in 4 hours, 25 minutes and 48 seconds. Sasha Wemus of Human Powered Health and Astana Kazakhstan's Gleb Syriza crossed the line second and third. Malaysian national team rider Izzat Hilmi Abdul Halil did well to be placed fourth in the sprint finish, while Terengganu Polygon cycling team's Harif Saleh settled for ninth on the day. Decline, who is nicknamed Little Gorilla due to his similarities to German sprint great Andre Greipel, subsequently took charge of the green jersey with a 4-second advantage atop the general classification. Tekshbayar Batsai Khan of Rujai Online Insurance took charge of the white jersey as the leader of Asian category, with a 3-second advantage after crossing the line first at the intermediate sprints in Ajil and Thot Jamal. Another Terengganu Polygon cycling team's rider, Nur Aiman Zarif, claimed the polka dot jersey as the king of mountain after crossing the line first at Jerangau and coming in second at Sekayu, both of which are Category 4 climbs. The second stage on Sunday will start in Kuala Terengganu and finish in Kota Baru, covering 186.2 kilometers. Turning to football now, the Russian Saudi League. Cristiano Ronaldo scored a brace in Al Nassr's 4-3 win over Al Ahly, taking his tally to 9 goals since the start of the season as he remains the league's top scorer. Ronaldo kicked off the goal galore after just 4 minutes as his low drive found the bottom corner of Al Ahly's net. The home side extended the lead in the 17th minute through Anderson Talishka's header, following a free kick set piece. Al Ahly halved the deficit in the 30th minute when Frank Kessie beat the offside trap before slotting the ball home. Talishka, however, restored Al Nassr's 2-goal cushion with a superb strike from outside the box just before the break. The visitors then grabbed their second goal 5 minutes into the second half when Riyad Mahrez converted from the spot kick just for Ronaldo to widen the gap again 2 minutes later, beating Al Ahly's defence with great skills before smashing the ball home to make it 4-2. Al Ahly pushed hard for more goals and managed to strike one, minutes before the final whistle as Mahrez's beautifully timed pass was met by Faraz Albrikan, but it was too little too late to prevent Al Nassr from taking the 3 points with a 4-3 win. With a victory, Al Nassr climbed to 5th in the standing with 15 points, 3 points behind leaders Al Ittihad. More to come. Parents arrested over murder of 3 men. Don't go away. The Road Transport Department RTD will carry out a large-scale special operation against commercial vehicles, especially lorries ferrying sand, starting next week. Its Deputy Director General for Planning and Operations, Eddie Fadli Ramli, said it was following an accident involving a lorry laden with sand which crashed into 14 vehicles in Putrajaya on Wednesday, claiming 2 lives.
Kita telah keluarkan arahan kepada semua pengarah-pengarah JPJ seluruh negara untuk membuat operasi khas kenderaan perdagangan berkaitan dengan lebihan muatan. Jadi semua operasi di seluruh negara ni akan dijalankan serentak mulai minggu hadapan, akan diketuai sendiri oleh pengarah-pengarah JPJ negeri.
Eddie said the RTD headquarters, especially the Enforcement Division, has also been instructed to closely monitor these operations and submit a complete report to the department top management and also the Transport Ministry. In the 10:15 a.m. accident on Wednesday, 2 motorcyclists were killed, while 7 were injured after a lorry laden with the sand crashed into 14 vehicles at the Jalan Perseran Utara Puchang bound. In Kuala Lumpur, 3 Sri Lankan men were found dead with their hands and feet tied and their heads covered in plastic bags in a house at Jalan Perhentian Kampung Kovil Hilir, Sentul on Friday night. Screams believed to be from a fight led to the discovery of the bodies that were found stacked in the house's store, with one of the bodies found naked. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Datu Alauddin Abdul Majid said the police received a call from the public informing that there had been a fight at a residence on a 4-story shop house lot at around 11 p.m. A police team arrived at the house, which is located on the 2nd floor, and carried out an inspection before finding the bodies of the 3 men. All the victims were in their 20s and 30s. A Sri Lankan couple in their 40s, who were the parents of one of the killed men, have been detained to assist investigations. A knife found at the scene has been confiscated by the police, while forensics police found no obvious signs of a struggle at the scene. Alauddin said initial investigation found that during the fight, 2 foreign men were also in the house, but managed to escape before authorities arrived at the scene. He added that the suspects were acquaintances of the parents, having been friends for about 6 months. Police were told that both suspects, also believed to be Sri Lankan, were at the shop, having stayed over a night or 2 at the time, with Alauddin saying this could prove that the murders had been premeditated. Police had identified the 2 men, and efforts to track them down are currently underway. In the heart of Rome, a city where history echoes at every corner, one thing truly captures the spirit of the eternal place, the Vespa. As Nightline draws to a close this time around, let's take a look as a symbol of Rome's soul draws people from around the world to experience its endearing charm. I'm Lena Hassanel. Thank you for watching and have a restful Sunday.